The original Mulan story is quite different from Disney's 1998 animated film. The earliest printed version of the story still in existence today was first featured in an anthology from the 12th century, known as the Ballad of Mulan. It's a short poem thought to have originated as a folktale in the 4th or 5th century based of references to the period known as the Northern Wei dynasty, which lasted from the 4th through the early 6th centuries. Disney's live-action remake adds an interesting twist to the story, and you should watch this before seeing the movie. What to expect of the storyline? The flesh and blood version of the 1998 animated film is a paint-by-numbers tale of adversity, identity, honor, and family. The remake unfolds just like the original movie. The story, set in ancient China, introduces Hua Mulan as a rambunctious young girl who exhibits crazy athletic moves and a fearlessness that worries her family. Shortly after the story kicks in, invaders attack. The emperor sends out emissaries with the demand that each family sends a man to help defend China. Concerned for her father, a disabled veteran, Mulan furtively takes his place as well as his armor and sword, running off to protect him and the country. Mulan really hits its stride when the heroine is thrown into military training, passing herself off as a man so she can fight and bring honor to her family. She initially hides her abilities from her commanders and peers, such as Chen Honghui, a bully who becomes Mulan's staunchest ally. And even when she starts to strut her considerable stuff, she doesn't bathe and dresses inconspicuously to hide her gender. The central story is basically the same, but the new film is less comedic, more dramatic, and exercises the romantic elements altogether. Like the original Disney film, honor, identity, and gender roles are major themes of Mulan that actually play better here in a flesh and blood world. A difference you'll note is that in the original film, Mulan was able to pass successfully as a man until she was inadvertently unmasked. But in the new film, she isn't fully able to pass. It's implied that her love interest, the new character Hong Hui, knows her gender long before she decides to reveal herself. A new witch. One of the most notable ways Disney's live-action version of Mulan departs from the animated original is with the inclusion of a new villain, a dazzling witch named Jing Lang. Gong Li has the film's most interesting role and is a character with an interesting arc. The witch has an array of dark talents, including the power to possess other bodies and to shapeshift into various forms, including a flock of birds. She could easily destroy Mulan when she first meets her, but the witch becomes fixated on Mulan, drawn to her for more nuanced reasons that become unveiled over the course of the film. She becomes a villainous analog to Mulan, a woman who is similarly under the thumb of men and is struggling to ascend her full potential. Because of that, she relates to Mulan and is continually drawn to her even though they work for opposing camps. The character developed further when Gong agreed to play the part. The venerated Chinese actor, who starred in films like Farewell My Concubine and Memoirs of a Geisha, brought a new depth and gravitas to the role. Her shades of good and evil and the kinship she feels with Mulan show a depth that is otherwise missing from the proceedings. Jin Lang even pulls the old "we're not so different, you and I" bit that you can find in a lot of superhero films. Why Mushu is missing? The cast of the remake is a wonderful mix of Asian and Asian American actors, including some of the biggest names in Chinese cinema, like Donnie Yen, Li Gong, Jet Li, Zima, Pipi Cheng, and Yifi Lu as our title character. However, a character that is evidently missing from the remake is Mushu, the talking dragon. The original animation sees Mulan's grandmother pray to the ancestors for help. Her prayers are answered as they send the dragon Mushu to wake the stone dragon, who he breaks before swiftly taking his place to prove himself. But this time that doesn't happen. Instead, Mulan is guarded by a phoenix who doesn't talk and befriends her fellow army trainees who have new names, including a gentle one named Cricket. Disney's live-action remakes are famous for sticking closely to the original animations, even if it means showing live-action versions of talking candelabras in Beauty and the Beast or singing and dancing animals in The Lion King. So it's not like it would have been impossible to add Mushu to the live-action Mulan. There must have been a very good reason for editing the dragon out, and showrunners have recently spoken about it. Mulan director Niki Caro recently explained to USA Today why Mushu doesn't appear. Simply, the film wanted to show Mulan gaining trust with her fellow soldiers rather than a talking dragon. Producer Jason Reed also told Collider that they removed the character because audiences in China did not enjoy the character of Mushu. The dragon is a sign of respect, and it's a sign of strength and power, and using it as a silly sidekick didn't play very well with the traditional Chinese audience. Why Li Shang is also missing. The producer of Disney's live-action Mulan remake explained the reasoning behind the studio's decision to omit the character of Li Shang. In the 1998 animated film, he is a captain of the Chinese army and Mulan's commanding officer, who ultimately falls in love with her. Speaking to Collider, he said, "We split Li Shang into two characters. One became Commander Tung, who serves as her surrogate father and mentor in the course of the movie. The other is Hong Hui, who is Mulan's equal in the squad. I think particularly in the time of the #MeToo movement, having a commanding officer that is also the sexual love interest was very uncomfortable, and we didn't think it was appropriate." No songs. Both Guy Ritchie's Aladdin and Jon Favreau's The Lion King made a point of keeping all of the songs that launched 1,000 Disney mixtapes in the 90s. But Mulan's creative team decided early on in Mulan's production process that they wouldn't be asking Yifi or the rest of the cast to sing in the new version. Unlike the animated film, there aren't any songs performed within the movie. However, you may recognize the musical themes of songs like Honor to Us All, or dialogue that mirrors the lyrics of I'll Make a Man Out of You. But you'll see no one burst into song. When Mulan is being primped and dressed to meet the matchmaker at the start of the film, an instrumental for To Honor Us All, the song that characters sing during this part of the animated film, can also be heard in the background. The instrumental for the song Reflection also appears several times throughout the movie, as Mulan confronts her secret double life posing as a male soldier. At one point, she's literally looking at her reflection in a sword, and then swells to a triumphant crescendo when she decides to fight as herself. The showrunners also said they left out the singing because audiences didn't appreciate the lineup in the original movie. The majority of the singers in the animated version are white, with Donny Osmond and Harvey Fierstein among the singers. Of the Asian singers in the cast, only James Hong, who is one of the performers on A Girl Worth Fighting For, is actually of Chinese heritage. Mulan's voice comes from Filipina singer Lea Salonga, while Japanese-American actor Jerry Tondo also provides vocals for A Girl Worth Fighting For. Marvel vibes. Most of the live-action remakes from Disney follow a frustrating pattern in which A-list filmmakers and actors go through the motions of replicating magical moments from the classic films of our childhood, all while trying to make something new of those fairy tales. However, Mulan is like a typical Marvel war zone. Mulan faces two villains, Bori Khan, the tribe leader who wants to kill the emperor for familial revenge, and Jing Lang, a witch in the league with Bori Khan, who senses in Mulan a kindred spirit. Unlike other Disney remakes, the issue with Mulan isn't that it hews to the formula too closely, it's that when this movie veers away from that formula, it tries to be something approaching a Marvel movie. Expect to explore China. The creators tried as much as possible to showcase amazing scenery in the live-action film. Cinematographer Mandy Walker captured the Chinese setting in such a gorgeous fashion that, if nothing else, this is vastly more visually striking than its predecessor. From the nearly 700-foot-tall sand dunes of the Taklamakan Desert to the Rainbow Mountains of Zhanghai Dangsai Landform Geological Park, the movie hits many of China's geographical highlights. However, not every shot is of actual China. Instead, the cast and crew split filming between China and the chameleon-like landscape of New Zealand, where the South Island's Ahuri Valley stood in for Mulan's training camp, and Poolburn served as a yurt-filled base camp for the Roran invaders. The ending is not the same. We won't tell you exactly what happens at the end of the new Mulan, but we can tell you that Mushu does not have a dance party with Mulan's ancestors. Shang does not come to visit the family home, Mulan does not invite Shang to dinner, and her grandmother does not ask him if he wants to stay forever. Where to watch Mulan? Disney's live-action remakes of its own animated hits have become one of the more cynical and successful endeavors in recent cinematic memory. The live-action remake of the animated 1998 film Mulan was originally due to be released in March, but was delayed due to the coronavirus outbreak. Disney finally decided to release the big-budget live-action remake for an extra $30 fee on Disney+, its subscription streaming service that already costs $7 a month. Disney has said that the premiere access offer to watch Mulan on Disney Plus for an extra fee will last until November 2nd. People who purchase access to Mulan before November 2nd can keep watching it as long as they remain an active Disney Plus customer. However, Mulan will become part of a standard Disney Plus subscription on December 4th, 3 months after it premieres on the services for the extra fee. Notably, the time frame is faster than a big-budget Disney movie would arrive on Disney Plus traditionally. In pre-pandemic times, Disney typically would add its theatrically released movies to Disney Plus roughly 6 to 9 months after their wide releases on the big screen. The cost in other countries. Mulan was supposed to be released in theaters the same day in some countries where cinemas are open and Disney Plus isn't available, but Disney hasn't confirmed theatrical details. However, in China, the film will be available in cinemas on September 11th. In Canada, Mulan is priced at Canadian $35 and Disney Plus costs Canadian $9 a month. In Australia, it's $35, Disney Plus is $9. In New Zealand, it's $40 and Disney Plus is $10. In the UK, Mulan is priced at $20 and Disney Plus at $6. Basically, the price fluctuates depending on what country that you're living in and viewing it in. The fate of other Disney movies. The unconventional release of Mulan is basically an experiment. Disney CEO Chapek said that Mulan's release strategy doesn't necessarily set a new standard for how other Disney films will reach audiences during the pandemic. While Mulan is the biggest movie so far to skip theaters and debut online, other Disney films recently released in theaters have been added to the Disney Plus service earlier than planned as a result of the pandemic. Frozen 2 and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker both came to Disney Plus 3 months ahead of schedule. Disney Plus also aired the filmed version of Hamilton more than a year ahead of its being slated to hit the big screen. So, let us know your thoughts and what you expect of the live remake of Mulan in the comments section below. As always, this has been Riveted.